Hello there, Ben Kavanagh here, and today it's another story time. Not lost life story time, it's more broken bones. Like I said, I've broken 13, and so far we've discussed 2, the nose and the jaw. And today we're going to work our way a little further down. We're going to discuss my wrist and the big one, the one that hurt the most. The one that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. The coccyx. The tailbone. Same thing. That was by far the most excruciating pain I've ever felt in my entire life. Still have. And 13 bones isn't a few. Been hit by a few cars. The tailbone was by far the most painful thing. After this video, if you want something to do to pass the time while you're in quarantine, is just YouTube broken tailbones, because my friends did that. My friends showed me a bunch of YouTube videos when I had first broken it, and they were just joking, but my god, yeah, that was the most painful thing. I would recommend YouTube just broken tailbones, and I promise you, not one of the videos you won't be cringing. Every single YouTube video that involves a broken tailbone, you will have your hand, because each one just looks like the most, and you can see the reaction of the people is the most painful thing. Anyway, sorry, I'm digressing here because it was a very sore bone. But let's get into it. It's a kind of a 3-part story, and they're all related. The wrist is somehow related to the tailbone, so let's get into it. So, it was, I don't know what year it was. It was a long time ago. I was still living in Ireland before I ever left, and it was the first snowy year in Ireland. It must have been, oh my god. All right, let me think. I must have been about 15. Yeah, that makes sense. I would have been about 15, maybe even 14. I was 14 or 15 years old. And it was the first snowy winter, like really, really snowy winter we had in Ireland for a long time. So what we did was we went out to the countryside, a place called the Curragh, and all the mountains there, all the hills were covered in snow. So, you slide down. You go with your friends, you get a bodyboard, you put it in a bin bag, and you slide down. This will sound very strange if you've never done that before. But that's what you do when you hit snowy hills. You just slide down them. So, what I was trying to do, I was 14, 15, trying to impress everyone. And I tried to slide down this icy, snowy hill while standing, if any, kind of like surfing down. There's me. Surf down the hill, and I failed almost immediately and landed right on the old tailbone, right on it. And that was sore. I believe that was a little teeny tiny hairline fracture of the tailbone. And that's not the end of the story. That's only the beginning of this tailbone saga. This is like Star Wars. This is a trilogy of tailbone stories. And so it was a tiny fracture. It was very, very sore for months afterwards, but I don't think it was broken. I don't think it broke. I think it was just a small fracture. Don't get me wrong, fractures are also very painful, and this was too. So we get to the summer, and the tailbone is still quite sore. It's started in winter. Let's say it was January, and now we're in the summer. Let's say it's July. So my friend and my aunt and I were playing tennis. We were on a boat trip, and we had moored the boat in somewhere, and we were playing tennis. Sounds like really, really posh. It wasn't. But we were playing tennis anyway, and it was going well. And then my aunt lobbed a ball to me. She hit the ball, tennis ball, and it's going over me, and I'm like, no, I can get it. So I'm running backwards, tennis racket in hand, gonna swing, and as I miss and I start to fall backwards, and I'm like, in my head, it's all happening in slow motion, and I'm like, oh my god, Ben, don't fall on the tailbone. This is like a reflex to protect the very, very sore, injured tailbone. Still healing. So I put my hand out I must have just thrown the racket away and just threw my hand out to stop me falling. And as I put my hand down so that that will take the impact instead of my ass, instead of my tailbone, I break my wrist. God damn it. Oh, I don't know how I put my hand out. It all happened so fast. I was just falling backwards and I put my hand out to stop me so I wouldn't land on the injured tailbone. But no, then I broke my wrist protecting my broken tailbone. And that was quite sore too. Not as sore as the tailbone, but quite sore. So there I am, and my aunt and my friend, they come rushing over and I'm like holding it. I was like, oh my God, very, very sore kind of thing. Did I cry? Yeah, I think I cried. I think I cried like a little girl. It was quite sore. Didn't cry at the tailbone the first time, but we're getting to that. So yeah, when I broke my wrist, as you can see here on the skeleton, there you are. There's the wrist that was broken, protecting the tailbone. So, just a little tangent of the wrist on the boat story. So obviously this wrist was definitely broken, and we left the tennis match, didn't finish. I think I was winning, and 40 love, and we got in the boat and we were going to drive the boat down the river. It was just River Shannon, longest river in Ireland. We were just driving along the river and we had to drive back to the car so then I could be taken to the hospital by my mother. So as we're driving back on the boat to the car, where we ever left the car, the boat chugging along, going, not a problem, and then the boat just died. The boat just stopped. Midway down the river, the boat just died on us, like the way a car dies. And Jesus Christ, it was like the perfect storm. Everything terrible just all happened at the same time. So the boat died halfway down the river. We're getting close to a lock. So my aunt and my friend had to go outside the boat, and I had recently purchased an inflatable kayak because I used to do kayaking. So they had the paddle, like a kayak paddle. Connor, will you just put up a kayak paddle there? My aunt and my friend went to the front of this 35-foot long, motorboat home, and just started like pushing it along the way you would a canoe. But it's like 35-foot long boats because it just died and there were no boats around us to like bring us anywhere. So we were just incredibly slowly just kind of floating along the river coming up to the lock. And I couldn't do anything. Usually I would have been quite good helping out, sorting out the problem. But I had a broken wrist and I was in no condition to help anything. So my friend and my aunt went to one side of the boat and just paddled it, and then ran to the other side of the boat and paddled it. And I'm just sitting inside the boat like, what is happening? Anyway, so we ended up getting to the lock. And my mother asked the lock keeper, please drop me to my car and then I'll come back here and pick up my son and we'll go to the hospital. And that's what happened. So, yeah. So that was just a madness. That was a madness.
One eternity later.
So a year goes by and I'm in school and I'm in class. I was in transition year. I was in fourth year. I must have been about 16. And the teacher hadn't shown up to the class, so we're all kind of messing the way you would. And my friend, I say friend, I don't know, Joe, my friend Joe, gets his knee. I'm going to stand up for this. He gets his knee. And he absolutely, my tailbone. He broke my tailbone. And I have never fallen I fell onto a table and then off the table onto the floor like I had been shot. It was the single most painful experience of my entire life. I could feel the break of the tailbone go all the way up my spine, and I could just like feel it throughout my body. It's like, oh, So I went down as if I had been shot, grabbing my back, just like, ah, and just onto the table, onto the floor, and I mean, the tears. I was crying. I mean, I think the, Jesus Christ, it was the most painful thing I've ever felt in my life. He didn't do it to break my tailbone. He didn't do it for any reason in particular. He just did it for no reason at all. I asked him if he wanted to be on this video. For some reason, he declined. Yeah, that was the most painful thing I've ever felt in my entire life. The tailbone just breaking. That was so painful. Here's a part of the story that isn't for kids. This is not a PG part. Later on, a few days later, I was sitting on the toilet doing my business, and I was unable to do my business. The pain was so bad that I was unable to do my business. It doesn't even matter how soft your business is. You need a little push. You need that little push to just get it out. I couldn't do that. It was the most painful thing. I sat on the toilet cursing my friend. I said, "Oh, Joe, I hate you. I hate you so much." I was probably crying on the toilet, unable to do my business. If a man can't do his business, what even is he? That was the most painful thing. For about 6 months, another 6 months. So it's been about 18 months now since the very first tailbone incident. And it took about 6 more months to heal. That was so sore. You can see here on the skeleton how the tailbone is there at the bottom. And yeah, and I could just feel that crack going all the way up my spine. Just the break. It was so sore. Now, however, I have potentially the strongest tailbone in the history of mankind. Because now, I mean, it's just, a knee would break if it needed my tailbone these days. Practically made of steel. So yeah, it's not like, I'm not thanking him for it, but it's definitely better than it was. But my God, that was it. There's the story. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helped you through your isolation. And that's what you should do now. YouTube, just type into YouTube, broken tailbone. And I mean, that will do. Just try to understand how painful it is. My God. I assume if you were to break your collarbone, that would also be very, very painful. I've never done that one. Touch wood. Now, I've never broken my collarbone, which is shocking. That feels like a one everybody breaks. But yeah, I assume that would be close on the pain scale. But the tailbone, most painful thing I've ever happened. Yeah. Okay, there's just YouTube that. Broken tailbone. Watch the videos and you'll see the reactions of people when they break their tailbone. And I want you to think about, those are the videos my friends showed me. My friends showed me when I had a broken tailbone. I couldn't sit down. In fact, look, I'll do the whole thing. This is how I had to sit down. With my tailbone hanging off the chair. I'm sitting like, you know, one of those not cool teachers. You know? Had to have my ass hanging off the chair. Because I could not sit down.